Hey, class. So, one particular situation where God just showed up in such an incredible way in my life was I just recently got out of the Air Force. And God was kind of speaking to me and telling me that I needed to get out because we just had our first child. And right after having our first child, she was only a couple months old, I was deployed to Afghanistan. And so God just kind of showed me that this is not the plan He had for me, and that I needed to trust Him more in my life, and that all the money in the world isn't worth the sacrifice. So I took the leap of faith and got out and jumped, and was searching for a job during this time, and I went for a year, getting out of the Air Force, trusting God in that situation, and then a year went by of really just having a hard time struggling to find a job. I had a job with UPS for a time, but I only worked a few hours a week, and it just wasn't enough to provide for my family. I had my oldest daughter, and my wife was actually pregnant at this time with my second daughter on the way. So obviously this job wasn't good enough to provide for them. And we were also living with my in-laws at this time because getting out of the military, not having a job, I obviously can't afford a house. So we're in this situation, and I was going to interviews for another job, and it sounded really promising. And this was probably going on about 11 months now of not being able to find a job, and going to interviews for about a month with this one company, and they acted like they were really going to hire me, and I was a sure thing, and they kind of just kept stringing me along, and I kept trusting that was going to happen. And they called me one day, and I was on my way home. I can't remember from where. I think I had maybe just a small in-between job at that point, but they called me and said that they weren't going to hire me. And I remember just being so defeated in that moment and just thinking, well, I don't, what am I going to do? And so I remember sitting in my driveway, my in-laws' driveway, and just going, God, I don't know what to do. I am stuck. I have no answer. I can't fix this. I have no idea what to do. God, please just help me. I throw my hands up. I surrender, God. Just help me. And that night, we were having dinner with a friend of my wife's. And I walked in the house, and they were already there. And they said, and we were talking after dinner and everything. And my wife's friend said, "Hey, are you still looking for a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm still looking for something, anything, honestly." And she said, "Well, I think where I'm working is still hiring. If you're interested, I can put in an application for you, or I can give you an application and you can submit it." And I'm like, "That'd be great. I'll take whatever at this point." And the very next day, I went there and got an interview, and in 3 days, they called me back, and I got a job, and it was an awesome job, one of the best jobs I have ever had. The pay was great, weekends off. It was awesome, and it was just so unbelievable that in that moment, where I am sitting in my driveway going, man, I have no idea what to do. In that moment when I finally surrendered to God, God showed up, and just that quick, completely fixed my situation and fixed my life. And it was just so incredible and so miraculous. And it just grew my faith from there. And I have never questioned Him or doubted Him since. And it's easier now to just give it to Him. And God is awesome.